We do. Okay, am I on here? Yep. All right. Great, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Clint, was it properly notified and posted? Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right, so I'm looking for an approval of our 11-point agenda.
So moved.
You? All right, so motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay. I think when I looked at the minutes from last time, we have been skipping over 5 and 6, 7. We're basically focusing on agenda item 8 right now, which was the responses.
We need to approve our minutes from last time.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Approval of previous minutes. I
So
did
moved.
read over those. Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? All right, so skipping down to number 8. We finished, I believe, with all of the individual responses from department heads last time. If anybody has objections to that, let me know. But I believe that's where we stopped, and then we stopped and said we'll look at the committee and board responses next time. So as I mentioned, those are actually still in our, which folder it is, November 22nd folder. So the first one that I'm pulling up on my iPad, and hopefully you can too there, Clint, is the land conservation minutes. And Melissa, I'm probably going to have you speak to those since you were there. I think it was number 15 in your minutes. See here? Okay. All right. Rather than read it all, I guess, because as I was reading over this, I was a little confused as to which was a motion for Land and Conservation Committee and which was a motion concerning strategic plan. So if you don't mind just letting us know.
All right, so let me just refresh my memory here. So the first thing that we talked about, one of the things we talked about was we talked about the fact that the county has it's been brought up numerous times whether we should combine land conservation with zoning, planning, or however we want to. And my recommendation to them, and they all did agree, was that why don't we just, instead of feeling, because there's always that feeling of resentment in the land conservation department, like people think they feel like people want to get rid of them. And I said, I don't think that's I don't think that's true. I think what really needs to happen is we want to be more efficient. So what we voted on was to instruct the Land Conservation Committee with the Land Conservation Department in our strategic plan to evaluate and research what other counties are doing as far as combining departments with land conservation, whether it be with, well, we're already combined with parks, sort of, but not really, because our committees are still separate, but combining zoning, land information, things like that with. And so, because part of the conversation we're having is that our administration only has so much capacity for researching and trying to figure these things out and finding options and coming up with a plan. And so by assigning it to the committee, we could still move forward while not piling more on our county administrator.
Okay, so I want to respond to that, but just I want to acknowledge Carrie's on virtually. So hi, Carrie. I don't know what time exactly you jumped on. We are looking at, well, what's pulled up, but it's in the November 22nd folder in 2021. We're starting the boards and committee responses, going through those.
I've been on since you started the meeting.
Okay, I'm so sorry, Carrie. I didn't see you initially. Also, I want to just say, if anybody who's joining us, like Jason or Darren, if you guys have comments or questions, please just let us know during the meeting. It's fine. Okay, so Melissa, where were you envisioning that then? Would that just be in the work plan? I mean, because I don't know that would that fit under any specific
It does.
section?
It fits under in chapter 2, streamlining our organization, streamlining our organizational structure.
Yeah, so Clint, I guess that would be the other thing, if you can pull up, would just be our current edit. And that's right at the top of chapter 2. So under
obviously it would
effectiveness,
be a bullet in the work plan, but I think it also, we can mention it in our strategic goals.
So would that go under the centralized? No. That'd be a major bullet point?
Think could be increased coordination. Where we're,
Oh, okay.
I'm on chapter 2, page 5. The bottom of it says increased coordination, effectiveness, overlapping interests. I mean, this is sort of talking about across municipalities, but I also think it can be within our own organization, couldn't it?
You don't think it would fit under the streamline organizational?
Is that at the top?
We don't discuss any of the other. Wasn't that part of your personal strategic plan, Clint? Remind me, were you looking at the way the committees are set up?
Oh, the rules committee is looking at how our committee structure is set up, but this is actually combining departments, which means you'd actually
That's
physically.
what I meant. I thought he was
yeah.
also doing that, but no. Okay.
Well, I don't know. He can answer, but I don't think so.
There's been mentions on it through different committee meetings. I've got it on my initiative type list. I don't have any current
Okay.
actions or studies or anything.
Right. So in my mind, it was let's collect all the information and data for him, and then we hand it off to administration and finance and rules
Okay.
or whoever to make decisions. So it does fit under streamlined organizational structure for sure. And
Do you want to limit it then to just land conservation, or do you want to make it a more general bullet point?
well, so we could make it a general bullet point, and then in the work plan, we could put it specific to whichever ones we want to do right now, which in this case would be land conservation and zoning.
Okay.
And is fair and recycling go under there? I mean,
Right. Okay. So figure out how to word that.
I think I could put, so there's 3 bullet points there now, so I could add a bullet point that says evaluate needs of, let's see.
The way you have it in the minutes was evaluate the concept of merging the land conservation or parks with another department.
I
So,
could say evaluate concept of merging departments, and then in the work plan, we could be specific.
departments or boards?
It would be departments. So the idea
Yeah,
is you would
okay.
combine the zoning department with the land information office with land conservation. And then in theory, we may be able to save staff because why do we need 3 administrative people?
Okay.
Would they have time?
Yeah, I guess I was misunderstanding. I was thinking about the amount of various oversight boards that we have. And
No, this is specifically, this
Okay.
is actually looking at the structure of how we do our business in Richland County.
Madam Chair. Hey, I just listened to the WCA Zoom this morning, so I'm going to try to be better about our how we conduct our meetings. I'll try hard.
I appreciate it, Steve.
But anyway, it sounds like this bullet needs to be more the general case. And like you say, in the work plan, we would specifically mention specific departments or ideas. But do we want to limit this to departments or even committee structures that might also consider?
I think the rules committee is going to have one that talks about research, combining our actual oversight committees.
Which I would
later.
assume this will affect that if we wind up, combining several
Well,
departments.
This could be completely separate because you can still, like, if we combine our committees to the structure that we are contemplating, you could still have separate departments under that same committee. So
Okay.
combining the departments is actually completely separate from it's a separate issue from our oversight committee.
Okay.
It's separate, but in terms of adding a bullet under streamlining, they both are part of streamlining. I didn't know how general you wanted this bullet to be, or if we're going to find another spot to talk about committees.
I think let's just leave it at the departments for now, especially if we've got rules and
We
resolutions
may
already.
add a separate bullet point about merging
Okay,
committees
all right.
in another, when we get to the rules. I can't remember
Yeah,
exactly what we suggested in rules, but.
I didn't get through that one. I was reading the ones again and I don't.
So what if
pick
I
up
just
later.
put so it'd be a 4th bullet point that says evaluate concept of merging departments within the county. Then in the
No
work plan,
objections to that,
and then I'll
Steve?
put a note in here, work plan, add.
Carrie, you have any thoughts, comments? You okay with that?
Sure, like, so the first bullet point, I was thinking where we got create finance, HR, and maintenance department. What about a department of administration for the county? And that HR could fall under that department of administration and stuff like that.
So this is separate from the topic of combining, merging departments. We're wanting to say we're going to add an administration under that first bullet point?
Well, maybe, because you got centralized common countywide processes. You got create finance, HR, maintenance department. Why don't
Consider
we?
that we already have an Department of Administration?
I don't think we
Nice.
officially have it. We have an administrator.
Yeah, I'm an administrator and I have those folks underneath me by
You've got
job
budget.
descriptions and, right. I think to formalize it though, and I haven't looked at this in a while, if you have a formalized Office of Administration, I think there's some statute language that kind of goes along with that if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right, Clint, on that. That's why I
I'd
thought
have-
maybe we could just do the formal process of it. But
I would
Is
have
the-
to, I
is-
don't know what that all entails at the
Sorry.
exact moment.
I guess that was gonna be my question, if that statute
We could look
language
into
is
it.
limiting, right?
We could, is there a reason not to have a Department of Administration?
Well, it
Right.
depends what the statute,
Yeah.
language.
So why
is.
don't, do you want to just look into that and let us know the next time, Clint?
Yeah,
I mean, that would probably be easier than, unless you want to do it right now.
All right, so,
Okay,
Melissa, was there anything else
yeah, there
in
was,
that?
so there was one other part that, so, and I don't want this to become I don't want this to become I don't even know what I want to say. I don't want it to become a political thing, but, so we did talk about how, it would be good if we could have some statement in our strategic plan saying that we recognize that climate change is an issue and we want to encourage our departments and our staff to be aware, and if there are things that we can be doing as a county to be better, that we should. And mostly that's land, I mean, land conservation actually has quite a few things that were, like, I would argue that the dams that we've just approved using some of our borrowed money to put in dry dams that will slow down water, so that we won't have when we have our extreme weather events, which is flooding in our county,
Mhm.
we're slowing down the water before it gets to the rivers that are the ones that caused most of our damage to our homes and businesses. So we are doing those things in those departments already. But the question was whether we want to have really just a statement encouraging our staff and our departments to do what they can to, lower our carbon footprint. Are we make us aware of, can we change our light bulbs to more efficient light bulbs, things like that.
Is there a way to state, I mean, isn't that part of kind of the mission of these departments? I mean, I guess, is there a way to state that where it comes so that it isn't potentially a polarizing statement, where it's
Right.
just something along the effects of, caring for our
Environment.
and our county and the health of it?
Right, which is why, I mean, I think with land conservation, like you said, that's already part of their mission. But what I think is also important is that all of our county departments, try to think about how we can be more efficient with our electricity, how we can be more
Right,
efficient.
and there's multiple benefits. to
Yeah,
that.
and so really it's just the statement from the board in our strategic plan saying we care about this, it's important, and we want our departments to think about it and to do what they can to, and we don't have to
Which
use
I
the word
know-
climate change, we can use other words.
I think for HHS, I know, like, for example, when we replaced some of the lights and things like that, I think they looked
To be more
at,
efficient.
right, so where were you thinking that would fit?
Well, so that one is a little trickier. I think I had added to the fourth category to growth.
Is that still in chapter 2?
Yes, this is in chapter 2. We talked about adding it to growth in a manner that mitigates climate. So to grow, and I mean, it's kind of what Steve, I think we and Carrie, we've talked about smart growth, where you want to make sure that you're growing in a way that your environment can handle. We've talked about that a couple times in this committee level.
Well, let's try to think of a way to state that would be applicable to all the departments as far as, basically just caring for the environment.
Right.
Haven't we had discussion about these light bulbs before in the past at the county level? We've always kicked the can at that. What you Richland Center Utilities and um I don't know, WPPI, I think is the name, that they wanted to come in at the courthouse and change all our light bulbs out, but we had to foot a little bit of a fee and we've always told them no. And we could have saved money on the back end for doing this.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about,
Mhm.
you know, so how do we get that in here so that we don't, you know, so that we say that this is important and we're not gonna kick the can down the road and we're gonna invest in this?
All right.
Jason, did you have a comment?
Your mic.
Give the slide it forward.
Melissa, I think your terminology of conservation, that's a really good terminology. I think environmental stewardship,
Very
something
good.
that people could agree on. I mean, nobody wants polluted rivers, flooding valleys. I think people are interested in not using mercury and things like that in their light bulbs, you know, so environmental stewardship possibly.
I like that. And we could list some, for example, specific things like you mentioned efficiencies and lighting or whatever it
Okay.
may be.
Why don't I work on this one a little bit
Okay.
more? If we agree that it's something we want to include, let me work on it a little bit more and figure out exactly where it maybe should go.
Okay, sounds good.
Madam
I
Chair.
do think growth strategies. Yeah.
Am I on here? I can't tell. All right. Okay. I went and looked at Richland Center's comprehensive plan that they finally have online to look at. It's 55 pages. A big theme that they came up with is resilience. But they talk about land use and all these things that touch on environmental stewardship, whatever you want to call it. But a comprehensive plan is the outward-looking plan of how we want the county to be. And I'm still torn by this strategic plan where it's more of an inward-looking. How does the county government function, and how can we do our jobs more efficient? So I just want us to be careful that we don't turn our lens out and kind of muddy things of what are we trying to do here. So
Well, but doesn't our strategic plan guide how our departments function and act?
sure,
So, I mean, that's where I'm looking at it more of an instruction to our departments of things we're looking for them to do.
He does have a good point, though, that we were trying to be extremely focused in this one. I
Oh.
don't know if we want to make that statement then be a bit more focused and be broader, for example,
Right.
in the comprehensive plan.
So both of these things that I just added, I realized that they do not fit in with our focus, but in my mind, it was, I think we're going to be working really hard and there's going to be a core group of people working really hard on getting our government more efficient.
Mhm.
But there are departments could be working on other things. So we can have some other goals. I don't want to get too diluted and I don't want to lose focus. But I think they could be working on some other things like can we be combining and doing other, so that the really core work gets done. But you know, like land conservation, they aren't going to have much to do with how, you know, our finances are working and how, but they could be working on these other things. So that was so I get what you're saying, that we do want to stay focused and I don't want to dilute this out, but I still think there's a few things we could add that add value that won't distract from our main focus.
you find a spot for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that and a few other issues are extremely important for us to keep in mind. I'm just worried about what it does to
Right.
this document.
Yeah, so and then we'll see if I can place where it makes sense. And
Okay.
then yes, and if I can't, then I just worry, I don't want to put it off again.
Right.
I mean, yes, I think we're going to write a
Well-
comprehensive plan, but it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Particularly if it affects those smaller decisions, like what kind of lights are we gonna put in? You know, it's something that doesn't need to wait
Right,
for
that was my
a
thinking.
year. But hopefully, hope people are already thinking those things, but.
Well,
But I do like I appreciate your statement, Steve, because I remember when I read through all of the comments that came back, that there were a lot, and many of them did have value, but there were a few where it's like, it's not that, like you said, it's not that it doesn't have value, I just don't know that this document is the place for it.
Right.
So we do have to filter that.
okay, so I think that for the most part, that was it. There was one other we talked about, you know, because for the last 2 years, we've done a well testing program where the county has collected data. We're trying to get baseline data on what our water quality is in our county. And it got cut from the budget this year. So the question was, do we want to try to get, is that important to us? And is that something we want to try to put back in at some point to our budget? And where does that fit into this, our strategic plan? I mean, it can be that can be a goal just for land conservation, but it does fall into the bigger picture of when we're budgeting. How important is this? I think, we cut it without even really a second thought this year. I don't even know if it was discussed very much. It was just cut. And I think it's important. We obviously have some groundwater issues in our county, and we should really know what our start making use decisions. There's all sorts of things that can hinge on when water quality starts to suffer. So, anyway, I don't know if that belongs in the strategic plan or not, but it came up as a, something that how do we find out important to our county to fund this, or to, we had talked about not necessarily paying for the water test, but just coordinating, instructing the land conservation department to coordinate collecting the samples, and the people would pay their own, but we would bring them up there and things like that. So I don't know. That was what came up.
Could kind of contribute into the, so I've seen in other counties, like on their resolutions, they'll have financial reviews where a comptroller is obligated to sign off and verifying that there's a financial PACs. Some counties and municipalities also have health and policy kind of initiatives where resolutions and such have to be signed off by a public health officer that's evaluating, okay, what is this piece of resolution? Does it have a health impact on the community that the county board needs to be aware of? Saying it's the right fit for Richland County, but that's kind of a mechanism I've seen other counties use for all health and policies, is to have that public health review on your.
So it's flagged, essentially. Like if something gets cut, it would be flagged.
Yes.
Environmental health people would review and say, this is the impact if you cut this.
Yes, I'd visualize like our health officer would be reviewing the resolutions before they're brought forward, and if there is a concern on it of well water being taken out of the budget, that would be a thing that would be brought up, just so it's brought into attention. It doesn't necessarily stop everything and filter those things out, but it's another mechanism of bringing it forward. But then that also does require more administrative steps and preparations and timings and things to get through through the sausage grinder to get everything put together. But it's another solution that I've seen. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. This sounds like an item that would fit fine in the work plan. But this leads me to ask right now, could we kind of rehash where we see the work plan effort being done by this group? And I mean, we have till what, the March meeting to have this in front of the board. So I don't see us working on the work plan before that.
Hoping that we can. We're gonna
I
have
think
to
we
have
will.
some. We're gonna have to have some fairly frequent meetings. I think that what we're gonna just have to acknowledge is that it's a living document, as we've mentioned. It's not going to be 100% done and perfect. As far as the work say goes, I hope that we have the majority of it, but I'm sure that we're going to get into it and be like, wait, we needed to add A, B, or C, or this is not actually feasible. Things like that.
Well,
But no, I would like us to get.
I'm fine with more frequent meetings here to make sure we meet the deadline.
Right.
But I didn't know if we needed to start working on the work
So-
plan itself just yet, or finish.
That's going to be, I think, as soon as we get through this, which I'm hoping we can't get through it today, by the end of next meeting, hopefully, and then after that, we'll be doing the work.
We have an hour and 10 minutes. We better get moving.
Yes, exactly. So,
Yeah. So I think this one, let's just leave that.
yep.
Let's leave
we'll
that alone.
continue that later.
I'll make a note to myself to figure out where we want to talk about it, if at all.
Okay, the next one was, online. The next one was 10K, which was the report from the UWP Richland County Campus Committee. They just had 2 recommendations. It says, number 1, we are not sure where this would apply, but we would like to have a folder for the campus committee and a place to put all the documents, so we will be more transparent to the public. I don't know if that's necessarily our job as a committee to do that. I think that's a great idea, but I don't think we need to
Rules
make
has
that
already,
happen.
actually, Rules has already said that we're supposed to get committee folders. So
Okay. Taken
I would
care
leave that, yeah, I would leave that alone.
Okay, so then on page 8 of chapter 2 under growth, then tactics, we would like the 5th bullet to read, identify sustainable options for all non-mandated programs. So I need to pull that up and actually look at. Growth, tactics.
It says identify financially sustainable use options for the UW Richland campus, and they want to change the wording to identify financially sustainable use options for all non-mandated
Ooh,
programs.
I don't know that that's, seems would be very,
They're trying to take the focus off UW Richland, I think, is that we should be looking at all of the,
I think the problem with that is there may be some that there isn't a financially sustainable option.
well, I mean, that would be, yes, that would be,
The language is kind of regardless of whether it's a UW Richland campus or all non-mandated services, identifying financially sustainable use options for both of those. Depends on whether we actually want to see subsidization of tax levy as part of a financially sustainable solution versus revenues coming in versus
Right.
some other stream. So interpreting the language is half of it. The other half of it is, yes, I remember a conversation in a meeting where they were feeling a little bit singled out on why are other projects that are non-mandated are out of focus.
Madam Chair, I, for this particular one, again, I think we should be trying to keep wording general when it's tactics and philosophies and things. And then in that sense, you could say we'd want to look at the financial viability of all the non-mandated. And then in the work plan, this would be one of those bullets, specifically for the campus.
It is true, however, I think if Troy were here, I'm going to speak for him, that the reason that this was there was because this was identified as one of the
very specific.
biggest things that we really needed to make sure that people are aware that we have to focus on.
Sure,
this,
and it'll be in the work plan.
right? But I think when you're looking at it, this being the document that perhaps the county departments and various things read over, and they're maybe not going to look at every single thing on the work plan because it doesn't apply to them, wanting it to be acknowledged, I guess, that this is actually. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to taking out that specific wording. I just think that there was a reason for why it was like that. I mean, unless, I guess another option would be to just add as well as other non-mandated services or something like that. But I don't know if we want to specifically soften that.
I'm okay with
That-
leaving it UW Richland campus because it was really it's in there because it's what we mean.
I mean, we actually identified that in chapter 3 as one of the big items that we have to look at.
Right. So what triggers doing that same function on all the other non-mandated?
Well, some of the non-mandated services are going to be a lot less of a financial, word I'm looking for.
Impactful.
Impact, yeah, on our budget,
Well,
So,
yeah, we started looking at that when we started looking at what they cost. And I think I'm almost done with that. I haven't looked at it in a month.
well, it's still on our
Yeah.
agenda,
Yeah.
so at some point we'll look at it. So I guess, I mean, again, a compromise could be adding in as well as, if you guys want to take it out completely and make it general, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I do think there was a good reason for having that though.
I don't think we should remove it, but I
I'm
wouldn't,
fine with adding the words.
as well as
Yeah.
other.
And then I think that takes care of that committee, which brings us to the red board.
Economic
Richland
development.
Economic Development, and we actually have one of the members right here.
We asked our entire board to comment. We asked our entire board to comment or to look it through, and Chairman Brenninger was the one that filed those comments, I believe, that you'll be reviewing.
Yes, so he has a nicely, it's 10, yeah, L, and he's got it nicely numbered for us. So first thing was that the red board is not included as one of the boards and committees in which the county participates. I'm assuming he means on our
Organizational
organizational chart, which that should be easy to Okay. Who was, again,
Cheryl's
who was it
got
that
that.
put it together? Cheryl?
Cheryl's got that. Yeah, she just asked me the other day if she wanted to see if I wanted her to send me different versions of it, and so she was going to do that.
Was she going to include this one? You know if she knows
I don't know.
that?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the new version, but I can make myself a note.
She's sending it to you? Okay, if you don't mind checking that, that would be great.
She hasn't sent it to me yet, I don't think, unless she sent it this morning.
Okay. All right, so then number 2 was page 4 under framework of decision-making, line 1, instead of quote, hard decisions, end quote, it could be value-driven decisions. All right, I gotta find that. That chapter 1, I'm assuming.
Line 1.
Decision. Oh, okay, right under framework for decision making. Did you find it, Steve?
Yeah.
Yep.
Value-driven decisions.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
my thoughts. I think we should leave it as hard decisions only because I think the point of that sentence is that we know there are some significant challenges coming up. All decisions should be value driven regardless. And so I think if you just say value driven, it kind of softens the point. But if you say hard decisions, it makes it obvious that we know there's some challenges coming up.
And I think to your point, right under that, we list the values that are actually our framework for addressing those decisions, which therefore makes them value-driven.
Yeah, core values is right underneath that.
So it says core values form the basis for decisions.
Yeah, I'm fine with not changing it.
Okay. Moving to the next thing, number 4 or 3, page 4 under accountability, line 3, quote, make decisions that plant seeds of success for the future could be a separate line or theme.
Oh, under the core value. Accountability, be diligent, follow through.
Yeah.
Decisions that
My
plant
thoughts.
seeds for success.
I kind of see his point. This planting seed is kind of a non sequitur under accountability, but I don't mind if we add it as another bullet, but it does seem odd where it's at.
Wouldn't it be another core value then?
I don't think so. I think that concept should be put somewhere else.
What? How do you mean put somewhere? I mean, I think he meant within the core values. Where would you see that being added?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying we're trying to list our core values, and accountability is a core value. Planting seeds for success for the future is more of a, I don't know, just doesn't fit underneath that bullet.
Should we just delete it?
I don't have a problem with that.
I like deleting it though, because I actually really like that concept. Like I want that to be something that drives our decisions. Is this something that's going to plant,
We could add it.
promote success?
What if we added it to the intro paragraph of core values? I mean, basically, all of the things we do are planting seeds for success, right? I mean, our integrity, our public service, our open-minded, is that all plant seeds for success?
Okay, so if we added it, values form the basis for decisions since they bind decision makers to their decisions. What if we added it in?
Just before the last sentence in that would be a good spot for it.
We intend to make decisions that plant seeds of success for the future. I'm supposed to say we in this document, but board
the county
intends.
board,
Yeah.
something like that. Larry, any thoughts from you? Great.
No, not right now. I don't have any.
Okay.
I'm just trying to look at other stuff and look at some state statutes at the same time that we're talking here. So
I'm deleting it. I'm deleting it from accountability.
Okay.
And I wrote up top, so it would be the, after the first sentence, the board intends to make decisions that plant seeds for success, of success for the future. County board provided the following core values during the planning process. That makes sense?
Sounds good.
Okay. Moving on.
Great, next one, page 4 under the mission statement.
I think
I
we'll just
think we're
leave
not
those.
gonna
Yep.
address the mission and vision statement. We recognize they have issues. Page 5, the term tax base should be replaced with community wealth. Make it look like these. Oh, I think it's the very last line. Says while it must choose which discretionary services to abandon while simultaneously investing in community and economic development efforts to grow its population and tax base. When I first read his comment, I was kind of like, wait, people wouldn't know what we're talking about. But when you read it in the context of that statement, I actually do kind of like that terminology.
Sorry, where are you? Which section? is it?
Bottom of page 5 on
Well, my
chapter 1.
pages have changed now that I've added stuff.
Okay, so
but-
it's right under the business of the county.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, tax base, see it, okay. So how did you just say it?
He proposed, or the board proposed, changing that tax base on the end there to community wealth. And I said when I initially read that, I didn't know what line it was. I thought that's not going to work. But in that line, actually, I do kind of like that terminology. What do you guys think?
I actually think there's room for both. I mean, on the one hand, our tax base is essential for funding what the county government does, but on the other hand, there's many things you can't put a dollar figure on that are important also. So I think this should be a way to word keeping both in there.
Nation tax base and community wealth. Good. Let's move on, unless you have a problem with that. Melissa, does that sound good to you? Okay. All right, next one. Page 5 under focus, out of control should be undisciplined. That is probably better terminology. Where did we say out of control? Oh, you mean outside of the county's control, or? Yeah, I'm confused. I'm sorry if I'm not talking to my mic.
Was
It was number 5 in the list.
Under-
It says page 5 under focus. So right where we were at, it says the term out of control should be undisciplined. But I'm not seeing, the only thing I see that's similar to that is the line where it says the current challenge stems from several factors outside of the county control.
Oh, I think we deleted that the last time, you guys.
Yeah, I don't have it
Yeah, so
updated.
now it just says the current challenge stems from, that's why I couldn't find it. The current challenge stems from several factors, including, we got rid of the outside of the county's control. Yep, it's gone.
So speaking of that, I know we're still working through this document, but at some point we'll need to get more current edits. We
Yeah,
had
so-
somewhat current and now we've got even
Yeah,
more
so
current.
after today, I thought I would upload it again, because that would be last
Perfect.
meetings and this meeting's
Okay.
changes.
All right, so next line, number 9, general statement. A heavy focus should be on the people solution of increasing population instead of cutting expenses. The first is aspirational, the latter is diminishing. So I think Chairman Croninger is just referencing like our focus of the whole document, which I understand that. On the other hand, I think that we also need very specific goals as a county, and I don't know.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the sentiment, but like you say, I don't know how we, I don't know. Change the
Encapsulate that
tone.
and then make it
Yeah,
specific enough to what we,
I get
do.
it, but I'm not sure.
I think that's for our next strategic plan.
right? Or maybe the comprehensive plan. Okay, so number 10 says section 2, so I think maybe he means, or chapter 2. Page 5, should the strategic plan have, quote, increasing fines and fees? Right, we're in chapter 2, I believe. And then I just have to find it. Oh, I think it's the last bullet point under improved financial practices. So towards the bottom of page 5. I think the question is, should we include increasing fines and fees as an actual statement in our strategic plan?
I mean, it's something to be considered, right? Like we're considering everything else.
I guess when we say that, what do we mean by that? Do we mean it looking at like,
Well, it's
are
like
our
zoning.
fines the same as
Right, it's like in
another
zoning, are we
county?
charging the same as what Vernon County, what Crawford County charges for permits and
So
whatever?
just keeping current. It's not like, oh, let's tack on
Well, right, yeah.
another
I mean, it's-
$100 because we need to make money.
No, I think it would be evaluating where we're at
Exactly.
compared to what other people are charging and are we well way under?
Right, and I think
Madam
we
Chair.
had some of those discussions at our zoning board too. Yes.
If you look under improved financial practices, the last bullet mentions exploring increase in fines and fees and such.
Right, that's what we're talking about. The question that the red board had was, should that language be in our document that we are thinking about increasing fines and fees? So I guess my question would be, was there a misunderstanding? I guess when we say that, we're saying we want to know whether our fines and fees are current. Are they the same across counties, or are we, $50 less than Iowa County in our fine? Essentially that kind of thing.
Well,
Do you
maybe,
have
maybe
any?
the way to address that is that instead of saying increase, maybe say to benchmark and compare with our peers or something like that.
I think part of the issue is we also include the word grants as well.
Right, because I mean, essentially, we're saying we want to increase the number of grants we apply for so that we
Sure.
don't have to take that money from our tax base.
Right.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's just reality.
Right.
But-
Jason, do you know if there was was the intent of that statement understood? Okay, I didn't know if this was from the whole board or just.
No, this is.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right, then moving forward, unless anybody has something different. Number 11, section 2, page 6, culture of support terminology is good. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Section 2, page 7, training should include economic proficiency, community wealth and health, and community development. Okay, when he's saying training, where does that fall under? But is he talking about county board supervisors, or is he talking about, didn't we also have a section on just county employees?
Ew, that's deeper.
Oh, okay, so page 7. Hey, those aren't bad ideas, but I don't know, is that something that's even available? That? Oh, no. I said, I think that those are worthy things to be trained in, but is that something that's available? Where would it go?
So it says training should include economic proficiency, community wealth and health, and community development. I mean, I think we've encompassed some of that, but
think the intent is, the statement is coming from the recognition that there has been a lack of understanding of what it means to develop your community, both economically and from a more holistic standpoint. And so that could easily be accomplished by a presentation by myself or Southwest Regional Planning or Prosperity Southwest. I mean, there's lots of different organizations that could do a quick explanation on those topics, and it wouldn't have to take a lot of time, but would get it in front of your board members so that it was in their mind.
Good idea. Could we put that in the work plan?
So we do have the first the first bullet that says intentional subject area expertise growth. So I would say economic development is a subject expertise area that we would want to grow in.
Do you think we need to include that within here or as on part of the work plan under?
You could make it a
bullet?
specific one to have red
Right,
board or,
because now
number,
he's
yeah,
saying-
economic development.
Hearing yourself, aren't you? We'll put you down as a possible.
So add economic,
What was his wording exactly?
yeah,
Economic proficiency, community wealth and health, community development.
is this 10 what? Just make a
And
note,
L,
10L,
number 12.
add number 12.
Yeah.
Yes, yep, the first one is formalize onboarding process, and the second one is intentional subjects.
All right. Number 13, section 2, page 8, EDD should include new home construction. Economic development, something or other, is that what he's referring to? I mean EDD. But I'm on page 8. Oh, economic. We have new home construction in there.
You know, at the top half.
The first tactic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say we've got that. Okay, number 14, general. The strategic plan should focus more on the people element and community wealth rather than tax base and services. Increase the population of Richland County, assist in family growth, and support better quality of life, best place to live in the nation. Again, personally, I think those are all great, but however, I think for the focus of what we have as our strategic plan, it's
We made the decision early on not to do,
right.
and he said this time, next time.
Comprehensive plan. 'Cause
Right.
I do think that, I mean, that is something you want to look at picture wise. Okay. Oh, wait, let's move on through. I think we're on 10M, which was property, building, and grounds committee. Was this the one I mentioned to you, Steve? So it was number 7 on their minutes, where it says discussion and possible action on chapters 1 and 2 of draft strategic plan. Harrow stated that under considerations, a question regarding life cycle costs and long-term maintenance could be added. That must be in chapter 2. And do you remember what you were thinking? I'm not finding the section. Maybe it was on the chapter 1.
It says chapter 2 in the.
No, but isn't considerations in chapter 1?
No, that's what chapter 1.
Oh yeah, it's the last page of chapter 1, page 6.
So what do we want to add?
My point in our property meeting was that these, when we have consideration on any decision, we need to be careful we don't just look at current first cost, that we look at the full life cycle cost of whatever it is we're talking about. And that's gotta be at least looked at to see if the extra upfront cost is worth it or not. That's usually a trade-off. And I just, as the property committee, that would be something we would want to make sure was addressed.
That's really, really good. How
Can
do
you,
we
can you
state
say
that?
it?
That's always the question, how to word that.
Okay, how about under the fourth bullet, under considerations, where it says, what is the economic return to the taxpayer associated with this project? I would add, also consider, or something along the lines of acknowledging full life cycle cost, or something, some words to that effect.
Wait, what about it's the bottom bullet for discretion, or were you talking any, or were you talking discretionary?
Any.
Any, okay, because the bottom bullet has something a little bit like that, but that's for discretionary enterprises.
So right now I have under the bullet that says, what is the economic return to the taxpayer associated with this project? I have a bullet, a sub bullet of that that says, consider full life cycle costs.
Sounds good.
The only problem I have with that is simply flow of the document. Everything else is written in a question form. Is there a way that we can write that somehow?
Oh, as a question?
Yeah,
I'll put a note in here to write its question, and I'll work on it later.
perfect. That's just my
No, you're
OCD
right.
coming out.
You're right. I mean, it is, that whole section is, these are questions we're supposed to ask ourselves, so. I will do a Jeopardy and turn it into a
Okay.
question.
All right, I think that was it for you guys then. Okay, so then that gives us, or leads us to 10N, which was rules and resolutions. So, you're on that board, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I get to pick on you again.
Mm-hmm.
Great, so that's number 9 then. Streamline organizational structure on page 5.
Yeah, so here we get to what Steve was talking about earlier.
Okay.
So the first thing we talked about was, the suggested motion that we had was to annually evaluate the current committee structure with possibility of consolidation. So essentially what that's saying is, things change, and we should regularly be looking at, is this the most efficient way to do this? Could we be consolidating, or sometimes maybe you're unconsolidating, whatever, but for the most part, you're hoping to consolidate, I'm sure.
Whose responsibility does that fall under?
Well, we mean, like, who would do it?
Yes.
Yeah, so rules is responsible for the committee structure document, correct?
Correct. The committee structure document has one of the responsibilities and authorities of the Rules and Resolutions Committee is to manage that and
That document. So I'm assuming that it would be the rules committee then would annually evaluate this, and if we want to make changes, they would come up with some changes and propose it to the full board.
Okay. And this is
So-
page 5 of chapter 1 or 2?
So chapter 2, oh no, maybe it's chapter 1. Question. No, it's chapter 2.
No, it was
It's
chapter 2. Okay, which streamline organizational structure? That's one that you were putting it
Yeah.
under? I have no problem adding in that bullet point.
Sure. Again, I could be fine with that, and departments both will be under the same bullet. I don't care. 2 bullets is fine.
Right, so I could have the same, should I put in annually?
Do you think that that's
I mean, I think that-
reasonable?
well,
Or
I
should
think-
it be every 2 years when we do our new?
That's true, biennial, would that be
I think that's
Am I-
bi. I always
I
ask the
know.
question. I think it's biannually.
biannual, it is every other?
English language sometimes. Carrie, do you have any opposition to putting that in?
No, I think biannually is all right.
Okay. Alrighty, while she's typing, let me read this second part. So the second comment from them was invest in education of county board supervisors, which is on page 7. Fund new supervisors attendance at annual Wisconsin County Association training or conferences. Discussion followed. It was mentioned that in 2018, it was decided by the previous county board chair that it is too costly to send supervisors to the conference. Moved by Sean to suggest removing fund and add encourage, and that motion carried. So that is under,
It's under the supervisor education, I believe, isn't it?
fund new supervisors. Okay, that's page 7, middle of the page. Fund. How costly is it?
Madam Chair,
Do we know?
It's 200 and,
Madam Chair, I'm not sure how many people know this, but the WCA covers that for the first time supervisor. I did not pay anything when I went this year.
Yeah, I didn't either the first year I went.
And
Which
so
came late and filled the vacancy. Would they cover it for you?
No.
I guess my point is, let's change it to encourage, simply because first-time supervisors get comped by the WCA.
That
I
should
assume that'll
be
continue.
communicated. 'Cause I don't think. So I don't know if we want to.
Which line? I'm trying to find what line.
It's okay, so page 7, first tactic, and it's the third sub bullet.
There it is. Found it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess I would just say I think we need to make sure then that the new supervisors know that they're it's paid for them. What if you attend online? Does that have the same cost associated?
They don't have an online version of the annual meeting for the
Oh, I see
WCA.
what you're saying. And what did you say the cost?
So I think it was $265 a person. Is that right? And I didn't stay up there.
Wow.
I just drove up there. It's not cheap. And if people stay up there, then there's the hotel costs and meals and stuff.
How long is the conference?
It's 2 days. Well, it starts on Sunday afternoon and it goes until Tuesday at lunchtime or something.
Well, if you want to
when
do
is-
all the
when
schmoozing
was-
and networking, it's a long, drawn out. But
When was that held?
It's always in September. Like the 20 something of September, I think.
Yeah,
Did they hold it?
it's usually a couple of weeks right after the fair and right before October.
Yeah.
This
Did
year it
they-
was in Lacrosse.
Did they hold it in 2020 though? Because was
No.
COVID?
I don't think, not in 20, but
Canceled.
this year they did.
The 2022 one is September 18th through September
I would
20th.
have known that. I could have gone to this year's and have it been comp.
Well, they don't even charge you at all. You register for free
for first time.
for first time. Just
It's
your
going to be
first.
the Dells next year, so there you go.
$65.
You might, well, yeah, because you officially could have gone to 21. Yeah.
So
Too bad.
you wouldn't. It would be a county expense provided we money's available for it.
Well, but isn't that what this is saying? If you're going to go on your own when it's not first time, are we saying, you're saying that the county is going to pay for any supervisor that attends?
I think that was the purpose of the language and proposal
Yeah.
was to make
Say
sure
that we
that
will
we're
pay.
financing for those in the future actions.
Okay. Not catch that.
Madam Chair, I'm starting to think maybe we leave it at fund and disagree with this committee, because I think it's cheap for the information and the perspective you gain. What
It
do
is
you
really
think?
valuable. It's very valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, my only thing is, I mean, you don't anticipate, how many people actually usually attend?
So I went, and it was me and Janetta that went the first year. And then we didn't have one in 20. And then
I don't even think I was fully aware of it. It was being
Clint-ish.
held again in 2000, or this year.
yeah,
This
That's
last year
because
was
we don't have an onboarding
for us,
process.
We're
Steve,
kinda
Melissa, myself.
did Derek go? The clerk? Because usually, I think Victor used to go because they do have the Clerks Association meeting there too. But so like 5 people went this year.
Okay.
Me, Barty.
So
and
that would
Steve.
be, $1,200 or whatever till you, that seems. I mean, what all, like, it's valuable information, I'm assuming, as far as,
Absolutely. I mean, if everyone is staying in the hotels and getting food and stuff, that increases your cost. I mean, I drove up there. I did charge mileage for one day, not both days.
And we do have a rule about lodging and meals and stuff like that too,
Right.
for the cost of that and reimbursement. I'm just wondering if maybe if we don't create a budget next time, if we do allow this, that somehow we reference the actual county board has got their own little budget where they do per diems and pay out of. Is that something that we could increase that side? And use it to there, that way we're not drawing from general fund, I guess, out of a thing.
Yeah, that would be the appropriate spot to put it, would be underneath the county board budget, underneath the 10 account.
well, I mean, I'm not opposed to saying encourage. I didn't understand fully what that means, but I'm assuming if we're creating an onboarding process, the new supervisors are going to be briefed on what all that entails, correct?
The opportunities that are out there, correct?
Well, okay. I get what's silly about that. It says fund new supervisors attendant at the WCA. We don't, it's free.
We don't actually fund it. I think we should.
Yeah, so we're just spinning our wheels on something.
Yeah,
that's,
But
Spinning
I think with funding though would be for paying their hotel room or something for them to go.
that's true. That's true.
Then I think we leave it, because if all we're paying for is their lodging,
Right, and
then
some food.
I don't see, because if it's something that we really value as a,
Yeah, let's just leave it
you,
be.
what are your thoughts, Clint? You're the one who
I mean,
oversees
but
our
we do
budget.
want to, I mean, maybe we do want to encourage them though, because you didn't even know about it.
Encourage and fund.
So
Yeah,
maybe
I
the
did.
step that we need is to
We'd
make sure
find
that
a
new
way.
supervisors are informed.
If I do happen to get reelected, please include me in the onboarding.
Yeah. Yep.
So
We
maybe
are
that's what
working
we
on.
need to be doing, is write that.
Well, that's the intentions is part of the onboarding is to have the references to Wisconsin Counties Association and the UW Extension and have these different things that are out there as well as talk on the different events that happen throughout the year. So that's what we intend to do in April when we bring the new board on.
When you meet in April with the new board, do you have the date for that year's WCA? Because I think it would be good to like basically encourage a sign up then.
The
you know.
next Wisconsin Counties Association meeting is September 20th. I'm sorry, September 18th through September 20th.
You mean the training?
This is the full-on conference. Now that's different than Wisconsin Counties Association also puts on a series of lessons for first-time supervisors, and that's kind of a different thing. This is the annual conference that is seen more as in totality, and supervisors are there as well as administrators, sometimes department heads and legislators, and it's kind of an event like that.
It's two separate things.
The legislative session is another event that they have. That's going to be in February down in Madison. That's a 2-day event, and that's kind of particular to different state legislative pieces that are in place to be aware of, as well as then legislative pieces that Wisconsin Counties Association is trying to lobby on behalf of counties and information flow kind of in regards to that. There's ongoing training going on right now as well with county boards, rules and structures. It's going on, and I'll stop there.
Madam Chair. So yeah, the one for onboarding new supervisors in the spring is that it's basics, okay, and it's focused on basics. The big one in the fall is more of a more broad, general thing, and so they are different. But the one I think we should emphasize is the one in spring, especially. But
Do you
then
have to travel for that as well? Is it, or is that
They
the
come
one?
here. They come here.
Do that, right?
That's the county officials workshop, right?
Yeah.
that should
Yeah,
be
they usually have
required
it here at Richland Center.
Okay, so see, I missed that on the last because
because they
was
didn't
on
have
vac-
one.
Well, they had it virtually
We
though.
had it on virtual. Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Okay, so anyways, back to this. I mean, I don't know. I think we're splitting hairs. I don't really care how the statement goes, to be
Say-
honest.
Fund new supervisors' attendance at Wisconsin County Situation and make sure they're aware of it. I mean, I'll write it better than that, but encourage their and encourage fund and
And
encourage their
encourage.
attendance.
Sure, there we go. Like it. All right, moving on. That was 10N. We're gonna move to 10O. This is the sheriff.
Me too.
Law enforcement, yep. Melissa, again, it's highlighted. It's agenda item number 17.
Yeah.
Okay, Lex stated this is, okay, sorry, I won't quote you.
I asked them to provide you with information. I asked them to provide this committee on if we needed more meat about retaining employees, but I think we've gotten enough of that now as far as,
As far as the
But then-
discussion on the current health insurance, is there anything that,
yeah, I mean, they don't like the stuff we have now and they want the state plan, duh. That's what everyone keeps saying.
you guys didn't?
So,
make
I mean,
some
that's on
specific-
on your strategic goals is to talk about the health. We just had that conversation. So I think we can pretty much ignore that first part.
Okay,
So the second one was kind of along the same lines of, I think that administration might be, normally might be where a conversation about a new jail might start. But I thought that maybe it makes more sense because we really are going to have to come up with some kind of plan of when and how we're going to replace the jail that we have. And so I thought we could add a bullet point in here, and I think it would be in the same one as we did for like the land conservation, where we would instruct the LEJC to investigate where we're at, what we need, what we don't have, and what it would mean to build a jail and when it needs to happen is really. So I think it would be,
Did we wind up putting that in for the land conservation, or is
We
that
did.
only
We
going to be in the work plan?
no, we ended up putting it as a combine the departments, look at combining departments. So that part doesn't make sense. Maybe this is something that just goes in the work plan
Personally, because we do mention the jail issues in
in chapter 3. Yeah.
but we
So-
don't have a great spot in my mind for it to
In
go
chapter-
here.
So I'm okay with putting in the work plan. I just think it makes the most sense to I mean, since LAJC has all of the departments that are really involved in the jail and what happens there and how it runs and what the facility actually is, makes sense that they would be the one to at least start the conversations, obviously with administration.
Right,
I mean, the
well, then-
reality is we have to build a jail and we don't have any money to build a jail.
Madam Chair. I agree. I don't think we need, I mean, the issue is inescapable. We're gonna have to deal with it, whether we put words in here or not.
I think it should just go in the work plan.
All right, I got it. I'm adding a note. Sounds good. That was it. That's all we had for that.
Oh, yay. Right, 10P. Wait, didn't we already cover? I think this was the committee one.
I think we did talk about hers earlier. I mean, essentially, isn't it looking at retention? And we've talked about this numerous times now.
Tom Rislow, I believe we did all these ones that were from individuals. Minutes, UW minutes. Oh, wait, but
We already did UW, so that would be 10T maybe.
sure. W1. Oh, there is something a little bit different on here.
Okay.
Okay, it says Gottschall commented that under transparency, oh no, never mind. He'd like to see all committees mirror the finance and personnel, such as having all handouts available on the county website. But we're looking at that already.
Rules is looking at that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We're over to
we're
T.
done with that. Then we are on, hey, we're gonna finish, you guys. 10T. So this is from zoning and land information. I actually, unfortunately, was unable to attend that meeting. And I don't believe that there was anything that we can actually put in. It was just discussion.
The whole point, yeah, I mean, I agree with him. I think that we don't want this plan to sit on a shelf and we
Exactly.
need to follow through, but
Which we
hence the
talked
work,
about that.
yeah, hence the work plan
Exactly.
and
So,
and this committee to make sure it does get followed through on.
okay, I think we're done with that then. Let me just double check that we have no more in this. One from Adam. How to say his last name?
Hades.
Hades. Did we discuss this one? It's 10U.
I don't think we talked about Adam Mahady stuff because
I
he's
don't think we
UW
did either.
extension.
Okay. So, after reviewing the documents, I'm reading his comments in red, especially chapter 1 on mission and vision. Okay, he has other issues with the mission and vision statement. Hear you. In fact, I was thinking maybe we could take a few minutes to talk about that at the end here. I'm on 10U. I'm reading Adam Hades' comments in red. So the first section under A, he just mentions that basically doesn't really like the ones that we chose as mission and vision, and appears that other mission and vision statements considered were more county focused versus government focused.
Madam Chair.
I honestly don't think we've had a single positive response to our mission and vision statements. So I feel like we definitely need to consider that. Yes.
I don't like where we're at either with our mission and
Any
statement.
of us do.
But when do we want to try to deal with that?
If we get through this, I was thinking we could talk about that for a few minutes. Okay, B, in context of the services we help provider oversee, what concerns do you have with the drafted language? Okay, so he's speaking in terms of the extension's role. I envision our department as critical. The extension department is rooted in education and outreach. In extension, our work is to bring resources from the university to communities while responding to emerging issues so that residents and communities can prosper. Extension serves as a catalyst for positive change by bringing together individuals, community organizations, and local businesses. However, if this is more in lines of driving fiscal management and county policy, it may be harder for departments, especially smaller departments, to show their worth under the current wording. There's not really anything we can add, but Question, are they listed in our org structure? Yeah, okay. All right, in context of the services you help provide or oversee, what recommended amendments, additions, or deletions do you offer? With knowing there are more chapters coming, please keep in mind the ability to be community-driven. An example would be within our department. Prior to 2015, Richland County supported a community development extension educator who conducted programming in many of the key capacity issues identified in the strategic plan. The 4 major areas included local government education, organizational leadership development, community economic development, and local food systems. Due to fiscal reasons and using the lens of mandated and non-mandated services, the extension community development position was eliminated. When did that happen? That in 2015, is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any thoughts on that because I was not here. Really have no context for that. Okay. E, he has questions. As you go through the rest of the process, what is the goal? Is the plan designed to be the vision of the future of the county, or is this a plan for government operations and decision-making at the administration and board level? I believe those perspectives create 2 very different outcomes, and in my opinion, this document has elements of both.
Bingo.
Right?
I mean, it is both, right?
Mostly one and a little bit of the other.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I think I've been trying to add a few things to make it, but.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what
We
you're saying,
started
but
right from the beginning that we said we were going to be very inward focused.
correct.
Short, we have a short time frame for this plan. We're only saying 2 to 3 years here.
Madam Chair,
Like when I think about all of these responses that we got as a whole, I do feel like there are quite a few comments or questions where it appears that people are kind of looking for something more like a comprehensive
More visionary.
visionary plan.
Madam Chair, throw out a provocation here. Maybe our strategic plan, or at least in the work plan, we should set a goal to generate the comprehensive plan.
Well, we've verbally talked about that. I guess I don't know that we've actually included that in writing.
And that's what I'm saying. I think we
Because
should.
I mean, we basically have made the statement that we intend after this to work on that. But yeah, you're right.
I think it should show up in our document somewhere. That's my opinion.
Could, would that fall under?
Maybe in chapter 1 where we talk about our.
What did we talk about it?
Oh, you would be right.
Other kind of plan?
Yeah. I thought we were going to add in some language there.
Let me get it up here. And
I just don't have the most current. Didn't we add in
Okay, here we
language?
go. Oh, no, we talked about a capital facilities plan. Not the same thing. So I'm at the beginning of chapter 3, but you may not have all the edits that I added this last time. I don't know which document you guys are looking at. We added an entire first section that says, the Strategic Planning Committee, in collaboration with the county administrator, will develop a comprehensive capital facilities plan in 2022 that will include, and then it lists 6 different things. It is the intent of the committee that the following information be considered by county board supervisors as we begin the development of our capital facility plan and work through our 2023 budget. And then that's when we get into the jail and radio and highway and discretionary stuff.
Right, but capital facilities.
It's different.
Right.
Very different.
I personally think we should maybe have a comment, since this has come up so much, where I feel like the question between strategic plan and what we would consider a comprehensive plan has been included in a lot of this. I feel like then in our first chapter, when we discuss why on earth we're doing this and what drives this, perhaps addressing that the differences and that we do intend on.
Right. I was just going to say the same thing. I think that maybe a paragraph in chapter 1, right in the beginning, that says, we understand this is very inward focused and we are trying to, what we're trying to accomplish with this plan may not seem visionary, maybe more inward focused on our government and our efficiencies, but we are working towards writing a comprehensive plan that will be more.
I think maybe just defining the difference between a comprehensive plan and a strategic plan, and
And
then
saying
that-
that we'll be working on it. So should we
Correct.
just add it in the chapter 1?
Oh, come on, let's set a date.
Can we get this one done? And then we set a date? 'Cause I really want to get this one done.
Maybe not a date, but just a little more, assuming it's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that. We intend to have this one completed for the next, so then it would be, I would assume, right after that.
Well, because we also committed to doing a capital facilities plan.
No, a comprehensive plan is a much larger effort. It's gonna have
Right.
costs, so I don't know when it would happen, but I'm just saying we should commit to doing it.
I think that those two things need to kind of go together, though, personally.
Okay, so in chapter 1, I'm going to define strategic plan and comprehensive plan, and then I'll make some kind of statement that we will intend to do comprehensive plan
All right, and let's now,
by 2024.
at the next election cycle, right? Because I keep reading what year this is.
Yeah, it would be the end of the next,
Okay,
April 24 would be the new board.
all right, guys. Time to address elephants no one likes, mission and the vision. So, chapter 1, I think you have it. And we also listed all of the other ones that we considered. And we had multiple discussions about this with unsatisfactory results, apparently. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, what I think people aren't understanding is when we changed them, we specifically changed them because we had very long discussions about that this plan is very inward focused on just getting all our ducks in a row.
maybe adding that statement in will help. That
But I mean, that doesn't mean the other ones don't say that. I think that we were just trying to, I mean, they are not inspiring. They are not, usually a vision and a mission statements are somewhat aspirational, and ours are probably the opposite of that.
several people mentioned that one is to be shorter than the other. And I know we had this discussion and there was like varying opinions on that. Vision shorter?
I don't,
Yes.
why does it matter?
Well, it does matter in the sense that a vision is aspirational and you don't want it to get long and drawn out. You want to just immediately grab the
Yeah,
big picture.
the vision we chose is not aspirational because we chose to be very focused on what we're actually trying to
Well,
accomplish
if
here.
people want aspirational, I remember that I still really liked number 1 of the visions that we rejected.
I do too. I like
I like it.
honestly, I like all of the other ones better than what we ended up choosing, but it was I re-listened to that meeting
Yeah.
that we had where we chose it, and there was very specific reasons why we ended up going with what we went with.
Which one did we choose?
We chose the ones that are listed
At the
on
bottom of page 4. And then the other options are on the next page. Considered.
Is there a way that we can put, do you feel like basically what we have in the vision statement currently is just a fleshing out of what we meant by the vision statement that we didn't choose? Do you think we need to do that? And if we need to do that, can it go somewhere else? We need to flesh it out specifically?
I mean, honestly, it might be easier just to have specifically just bring the vision and mission statements to the board and say, here's your 3 options, everybody vote on one. And
Well,
the
now
winner,
we have 4 options, right? Because
winner,
the
winner,
ones we
chicken
chose
dinner.
are different, aren't they?
Yeah, okay, these are the 4 options you have. Everybody just pick one, and the one with the most votes wins.
I'm fine with that. Can we put that on the next?
Because we've gone round and round and
agenda.
round on this, and we could,
Besides, there's
even
only
when,
4 of us.
even if
and
we pick one today, I guarantee you we're gonna have people say, why'd you pick that one?
problem is I feel like in order to adequately have an opinion on this, should be reading through the document as well.
Well, that's the question I would have, Madam Chair, is like, is this a mission and vision for the process of strategic planning? Because that's very different than a mission and vision for your entire county from that you're setting now for the next 20 years. So it doesn't make, it probably is less important if it's for strategic planning, because this is very specific and got very detailed elements. If it's casting the vision and the mission for the county for the next 20 years, you ought to have a mission and vision that actually meet the definition of mission and vision that's commonly used by all corporations and organizations.
Wouldn't
So,
that be better applied then to a comprehensive plan? Because that is a bigger vision.
Madam Chair, they can both have mission and vision statements. I see what Jason's talking about, and right. So it doesn't matter if the comprehensive plan would have a mission and vision. It would be different from ours. And you raise a point.
What we're looking at, if he says, is this a 20-year vision? I say that would be something that. Are we saying then that this mission and vision is specifically just for this strategic plan?
Well, he actually brought up what I view as a third concept on. I thought of this mission and vision being the vision and the mission for county government as a entity. To have a vision for strategic planning process, to me, is a different thing. And so my view is that this was for the county government. What does the county government see for its vision of how it should function, what it should look like, how it should perform, and then the mission is the bullet under that. The county,
I think I understand what you're saying.
the mission and vision for a comprehensive plan for the whole county with all the public input and all the different layers.
So you're saying that would be different.
That's different.
Okay, so then the question is it for only the strategic plan or the government? What are we trying to do here?
Well, I thought it was for the county government. I thought.
What do you think, Melissa and Carrie? Because I think if we are going to send this to county board, we need to be clear on what we're looking for then.
Yeah, I would, don't know, taking a vote on it would be easy enough. I think it would be probably another hour of discussion on the board that probably wouldn't be quite so desirable. So,
I think so.
Really,
I mean,
Cliff?
a lot of times, well,
I
yeah, I
mean-
guess you never know what's going to blow up on the floor.
I mean, we only go
Things that
till
I think
9 as it is. We can
yeah.
go till 10.
I don't know. I mean,
is it worthy? Is it, I mean, it's
I
a
was,
worthy type of
Sorry,
a thing,
sorry.
but, yeah, I can ask Marty if he wants to entertain something like that again, without coming with a recommendation on it, though, then it kind of leads,
very good point.
it can lead to a lot of the same talking points that we're having here today.
Right. So I think the thing we need to decide first is what kind of mission and vision statement are we looking for here then?
well, I have a question. Do we intend to put this on our website as many times counties have their mission and vision statements on their website as this is our county's vision? Because then I would say that the two we've chosen are not what I'd want
No.
as our mission and
At
vision
all.
on our, right? 'Cause
I
we
personally-
sound awful.
If we're not going to develop a comprehensive plan until potentially 2024, and we don't even know that mission and vision statement would be specifically for our government, then if we're going to try to develop one, I say let's pick the ones that we can actually utilize now. That could be in that format. And so then we need to fix what we've got.
Yeah, so then my vote would be we choose one of the other three, not the two that we currently have.
For me personally, I think for vision, I still am partial to number 1.
I think it's concise, it's to the point. It's visionary.
As far as mission goes, that I don't have such a strong. I mean, now that we've gone through this whole process and I've read all this input, I mean, I could question all of those. I like
So-
number 1 on both of them, I think.
So number 3 of the mission was after we had 1 and 2, and it was an effort at combining the two of them. So I guess to me, that one sort of captures both of what the other two are saying, but I
I
think
really
any of the,
like number 3 though.
I don't care. I mean, if you like 1 or 2 better.
I mean, that's no insult to you. It's
I don't
just that
care. I totally don't care.
I don't feel like we have to define the whole tax revenue thing in
Wait, where are you?
number.
Where?
Looking at the mission statement. Page,
Oh, the mission. I thought we were talking about vision right now.
sorry, we skipped back to mission. I personally think that number 1, without getting into an entire document of what that means, when we say that we're making decisions that have lasting value and provide fiscal solvency,
I'm okay with number
I
one.
feel like
I'm okay with number one on both of them if that's, if you want to make a motion to that, let's just switch them up and see what happens.
Wait, are we talking about the mission first and then the vision, or which?
She was saying that she likes number one of both,
Oh,
and I'm saying I'm fine with that.
give me a second.
say, read these, and come back to the next meeting. Choice of these three.
If we sent out all of this stuff to the department heads, and we also sent it to county board supervisors, right, asking for their input, can't we just send them an email saying, which one do you like best? Do we have to do it on the board floor?
Yeah, I mean, then it wouldn't be like an official motion on the board, but it would be,
No, it would just be them giving us our opinion without it
Right.
being on the board floor. And we'll talk about it in this meeting, therefore making their results public. Still get there. I mean, because we allowed them to give us input. They just chose not to,
another,
right? We didn't get any input from any county board supervisors when we sent this out to everyone. I suppose that's a decision making. We're asking them to make a decision. Okay, I get it. That's fine. Let's not do anything that can even
I-
remotely be.
to that though, I think numbers one for both, or what, weren't those what Troy originally came up, or similar to
I
what?
have no idea.
I
can't
think,
remember what.
and I think that was based on all the input that he got during those
I do,
meetings that we
yeah.
had.
And it's one of them, yeah, probably the first ones.
I think it was the first one. I could go back and look at my previous drafts. Do you guys, I think for sake of time, because we need to, next meeting, my intent then would be that we move on to the work plan. That sound good? And Melissa, what do we need in order to do that?
Well, I think before we do the work plan, we should review all of the changes. Like I'll get all the changes in the document and we should at least go through the documents one more time.
Okay,
Make sure
so
chapters 1, 2, and 3 are what we want them to be. And then the work plan, Troy had sent us sort of a draft form that included what we had previously, but now we've added a few things with, so I will need to look at adding the things that input we got from the departments. We did add a few things that will now go into the work plan.
do you think you could have a spreadsheet that we can look at, that you could give either to somebody who can put it on the screen so that we can look at it together once we get to that point? Is that
I can, when are we meeting?
okay? So, a couple of things. Let's discuss the future agenda items. So what I would like, as far as mission and vision, is I'm going to look back, and you guys can too, at our very first draft of this. That'll have our first mission and vision statement. So that compared with what we have on here, choose what you feel like best reflects our mission and vision as a county, because now we're saying this is as county government, right? Is that what we decided, or we don't care?
Sure. I mean, right? I think it's fine.
Okay, and then just
Really,
bring
that's
back
what everybody wants. They don't want us to be as focused as we were. So I think that's fine. Let's
exactly. And
just,
the rest of our document goes into the details of everything else we're doing.
right. So whatever.
So bring back what you have as your favorite. Hopefully that can be a short discussion next time. So we'll have that as our first thing. We'll get the mission and vision statement. Secondly, we'll review all of the edits that we'll just look over the document.
Yep.
So you send that, we'll get that into, we'll have MIS put that in our folder. So that'll be our next step. Third, if we can get to it, we'll begin working on the work plan then and actually putting in some targeted items. Any other agenda items?
We could talk about the mandated versus non-mandated stuff just in,
Are you ready to update on that, do you think? I
I
mean,
think
it's still
I'll-
on there.
yeah, I mean, I think I'll have as much information as I'm probably going to be able to get
Okay.
right now.
Sorry, what was it?
Mandated versus non-mandated
Oh.
costs and stuff.
I would say, Clint, by the way, that's a typo on the agenda because it says none mandate. Should be mandated, I think. Okay, and then meeting. Want to meet within the next week? You know, Troy said Tuesday the 25th. He's not available at this time, but otherwise most of his 1 o'clock. Are we okay with this time frame?
Fine.
Okay.
about
Clint, what do you
Carrie?
have for availability? Oh, did you, Carrie, you're still there.
Yeah.
I know that you have work days in there. I don't know how frequently that falls. Because then when you're working or have come off work, I know this is not an ideal time.
Well, I worked last night and I have to work again tonight, so I just woke up today. That's why I'm here at home, just because I'm too lazy to get in the vehicle and go down there because I'm tired. But
I don't think
Here,
that's because it's lazy, but
yeah,
okay.
so like the 25th, you were thinking?
No, I was saying that was a date that Troy could not make it at 1. So looking at other dates then.
Okay. Well, if it was like the 24th today, then it would just be another day like today where I would have worked Sunday night and then have to go back to work Monday.
Are there any days where you don't have to do that? Like Wednesday, the 26th?
Wednesdays are usually my days off.
Better?
Is
That works.
next Wednesday too early, guys? What else
Well,
is on next Wednesday? I know that's still
I have a lot
coming.
to do before then.
You do, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, Melissa.
But I mean, I do agree. I think we need to keep going on this, but
Yeah, but we also have county meeting, and what else do you have before
I
that?
still have law enforcement.
That's the 14th.
Right.
Oh,
That's when our meeting is. Were you thinking the 19th?
throwing that out there, but I realize that that's very. doesn't give
Let's
us-
just go for it. I mean, that just makes me happy. Put it on my list sooner. So yeah,
But what about you?
I can make that work. 19th at the same time, Madam Chair.
Yes, that's what I was shooting. Carrie, did you say that did work for you?
Yeah, I got every Wednesday off.
Okay. Okay. We're in the home stretch though, guys, so we can push through this.
I'm going to put on the agenda too to how you would like to address with the vacant seat. I'll put that on for next meeting.
it's not officially vacant yet, though.
And we can't address this before next, because wouldn't you guys be doing, when do you have a committee on committees?
Oh yeah, it'd be nice to get it on
Can't we
the.
get it on there before that? Like, he just needs to put in his written resignation.
We're getting rid of committee on committees, so we better get it done with here soon. Otherwise, we're not going to have one.
The county board is next, tracking for next Tuesday, so we would have to,
Is there a committee on committee meetings before then?
there's not one scheduled, but they're
We should
thrown
have one
together as needed.
Before the meeting.
Is that the only one that you need to address?
That I'm tracking right now, yes, Madam Chair.
I mean, it would be good.
It would be nice.
Yeah. Actually, there's a new one, because somebody just vacated their seat on the, branding committee.
Okay, thank you.
Already? It just started.
Have you even met?
No.
You do, just kidding. Okay. So yeah, maybe, I mean, I can contact Steve Williamson and tell him that he just needs to, I don't know what that looks like. I'm assuming just an
an
email.
Email.
That's done. So then we don't need it as an agenda item, because hopefully we'll have our next.
What did you need from Steve?
I know I had spoken to Bob Frank, and he said he was interested.
Harry, we had to get a letter of resignation from Steve Williamson saying he doesn't want to be on the committee anymore.
All right, because I've been talking to him during this whole meeting here through text message. I can just send him a little message right now saying that he needs to submit something.
Then tell him to send an email to.
Or just come back. We'll take him back too.
Yeah, I don't think he has time to.
I
do that.
know.
Clint, would that be to you? Yeah, you can send it to Clint. Have him send it to Clint.
Okay, I'm writing it right now.
Okay, guys. So that means we're at 7 adjournment to next Wednesday at 1, the 19th at 1 p.m. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Great, motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.